Buddy, and welcome to another episode of Gridiron and Gridlock. My name is Andrew, and just wanted to share with you guys today some head coaching updates and news. Excuse me. Some news that we've seen throughout the day today. If you're new to the channel, well, the channel is new itself, but we are Gridiron and Gridlock. You can join us live Sundays at 10 a.m. We talk primarily football and F1. Myself and Ethan posted our first episode, so you can go check that out if that interests you. However, today we are going to be focused on lots of coaching changes here, not only in college football, but in the NFL and some MLB head coaching news as well. We're going to start with the obvious news, which is Penn State fires James Franklin after 12 seasons. He was just known as the guy who could never win the big game. And so, Penn State makes the move after losing to Northwestern this weekend. They fall to 3-3, and it's just crazy to think that this was a team that a couple weeks ago was actually leading Oregon in overtime by 7 points. So it's just crazy how fast the turnaround happened. Drew Aller is out for the season, and Penn State has fired James Franklin. They owe him over $49 million, second biggest buyout in college football history, and Terry Smith will take over as the interim head coach for Penn State. And I think this was a necessary move. I really do. I think James Franklin, he just can't win big games, and that's the unfortunate truth. But what I will say, though, is I do think James Franklin is a great guy, and I think the players love him, and he had buy-in from the players, but he just could not get the job done. Part of me thought that they were going to give him until the end of the season, which, I think could have had its benefits, but they decide to get rid of him right after the Northwestern game the other day. And so now we focus towards the future. We wish the best to James Franklin, but we focus towards the future. And where does Penn State go from here? Well, it's interesting because, you talk about the big buyout, over $49 million, according to his contract. Where is that money coming from? Well, lots of donors, from what I've heard, are funding this buyout, including a surprise that I saw yesterday, a rumor that Adidas actually funded some money to help with the buyout. Remember, Penn State is partnering with Adidas next year for all their merch, their uniforms, and so Penn State's shifting from Nike over to Adidas. So I think that's very interesting that Adidas could have been behind this a little bit. Not that they made the final decision, but I think some of the major donors of Penn State, too, also were wanting this to happen. So this is the result that we get. And, the fire Franklin chance, it just wasn't going well. Was not a great season, and you can look back to seasons before this as well and see that the results just weren't there for Penn State under James Franklin's tenure. So you look towards the future. Where does Penn State go from here? Well, Matt Rule, current head coach of Nebraska, obviously, is a Penn State alumni, and so he's the biggest name that's being talked about right now. And earlier today, he did not shut down the Penn State talk, which is very interesting. He did nothing to shut down the speculation. He said he was happy at Nebraska, but it's very interesting because we could see him at Penn State next year. It's very possible. I think that would be a good hire for Penn State. Obviously, Matt Rule has some ties to the Penn State athletic director. He was a walk-on linebacker under Joe Paterno, so, obviously he has very close ties with Penn State. What I will say, too, is that Penn State is now in need of a quarterback for next year. And it's possible that Matt Rule could decide, hey, Dylan, how about you come on over with me to Penn State? And so we may see Matt Rule and Dylan Raiola at Penn State. It's very possible. We'll see. Right now it's just rumors and speculation. But looking down the line, it would not surprise me if Penn State went in the direction of Matt Rule. Would not surprise me at all. So, enough of the Penn State talk. Moving on, more breaking news from earlier today. We had the Titans fire Brian Callahan. He is the first NFL head coach to be let go in the 2025 season. And my take is I just don't think he had the roster to compete. I don't think he's a horrible head coach, but the roster just isn't there. And, probably thinking new rookie quarterback, doesn't look necessarily too great under Callahan. So he's gone. We're getting rid of him. And so the Tennessee Titans job now becomes slightly appealing because of Cam Ward. And clearly the Titans are in a rebuild right now. Offensive weapons, they have none, really. I mean, Chigo Okonkwo is kind of a stable tight end. You have Tony Pollard, who, may be entering the late stages of his prime or maybe leaving his prime. So, there's not many weapons in Tennessee, and Calvin Ridley is well past his prime as well. So this Tennessee team is in need of some young blood and some good offensive playmakers for sure. But Tennessee makes the decision they will part ways with Callahan. And as you can see, the Titans under Brian Callahan, they're 4-19, around 17 points per game. Their points per game differential is around -10, and they're turning the ball over twice a game. And so, you're not going to win games that way. Not a great fundamental head coach. I'm sure they can bring in some other options in Tennessee, especially to develop Cam Ward. So there's our Tennessee Titans news of the day. And then moving on to our final topic for today's video is myself being a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I feel the need to bring this news to you and talk about it. Rob Thomson is set to return next year as the Philadelphia Phillies manager. Personally, I love this decision. And I know some people may disagree with me, but I do believe that Rob Thomson is a very good manager. I really do. And my take is, how can you fire a guy who has brought you to the playoffs for, 3 years in a row? 25, 24, 23, 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row he took you to the playoffs. And so it's like, how can you get rid of a guy like that? No, I think this problem is more on roster construction. I do not think the problem is necessarily Rob Thomson as a manager. Now, you can argue, well, Rob made some kind of poor decisions in the playoff series, but really it came down to the Phillies hitters. The offense just did not do anything. This offense is so boom or bust. It's home run or bust. It's like home run or strikeout with this Phillies offense. And so you need some more contact hitters who are consistent hitters. And so I like the decision to bring Rob Thomson back next season, because I do not think he is the issue. I really don't. And as you can see here, his managerial record the past couple years, obviously the 2022 season went to the World Series, then went to the NLCS, then lost 2 years in a row in the NLDS. But you cannot argue with these results. You can't argue with them. I mean, 2022, 65-46, went 11-6 in the playoffs. 2023, he wins 90 games. 2024, he wins 95. 2025, he wins 96. And he's 346 and 251 as the Phillies head coach. And, I think the numbers can speak for themselves there. He's a guy with a lot of experience. He's a very soft-spoken guy, and I just think he's a steadfast leader And so I do believe that the Phillies are making the right decision here. I really do. I think it's more of a roster construction thing. You come back next year, you get a couple bats in the lineup, consistent bats. Way more contact guys are needed. All these swing and miss guys, it's just not going to work. You know, a guy like Nick Castellanos, swing and miss. I mean, he comes up with a couple of clutch moments. I'll give him that for sure. But I mean, it's just way too much swing and miss. So overall today, some big head coaching / manager moves and decisions have been made by some teams. And so I just wanted to talk about a couple of these things. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, this is Gridiron and Gridlock. I will be live with Ethan on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We talk about NFL, MLB, and F1 primarily. So we hope to see you then, Sunday at 10 a.m. And thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.